It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Hawaii Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
And we welcome you inside the KCCR studios on this Wednesday night as we get set for a state championship playoff Coach's Corner. We'll talk with Steve Steele, the head coach of the Pierre Governors. They played an 11AA state championship against Watertown on Friday. We'll talk with Tom Moore, the head coach of the Slavey's Chargers. They play tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. against Faulkton area, the 9B championship. And we'll also talk with Kerry Wheelhouse, the Pierre Governor volleyball head coach, as they take on Jefferson tomorrow night in the Sodak 16 with a 6 o'clock first serve. All that is on the way, and we'll talk about how to listen and watch those three games coming up here later on as we close out Coach's Corner tonight. It is Coach's Corner here on KCCR, online at kccrradio.com. Back with Steve Steele after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pierre-Fort Pierre area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff, ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Pierre area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, getting set for the state championship game against the Watertown Arrows. And Coach, let's go back to last Friday. What a great game that was all the way through. The scored the first two plays of the game and then scoring the second to final play of the game. A lot of emotions throughout that entire game to get to the state championship. Take us through that a little bit from last Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it was it's hard to kind of explain. I mean, I think it was a lot of fun. Obviously, the whole game was, but it was kind of a stressful evening. And I think as you got towards the end, you could just kind of sense a little bit that we were finding. We our goal initially was that we had to be there at the end. We wanted the ball last with a one-score game. Once we kind of felt like we could actually get to that point, I think there was a lot of confidence in our coaches and our players that. With that last possession, we'd be able to find a way to get it done. And, we threw the pick on the drive before. Defense had to go out and make a big stand, and they did. And then, George, with that, when he hit that return, that was the moment you kind of felt like it was for sure going to happen. If he drops that ball, it's a tough 2-minute situation to try and get into a field goal range where his return took us into field goal, and our mind flipped from 2 minutes. We got to kill minute 40 or whatever was left on the clock. and then obviously getting into the end zone is pure jubilation. And it's just one of the few moments where it's just really fun to see the happiness on everyone. The crowd's going crazy, and then, obviously you got to find a way to come back and make a play on the kickoff, which was a phenomenal kickoff, and make one tackle.
And one of the things, we kind of mentioned it too, is that Carter Templeton doesn't have, he kicks the extra point after the 2 touchdowns. But in the game itself, he gives you that chance to give that safety valve of we don't necessarily have to get in the end zone because you're only down by 2. You go back a couple of years, Cole Peterson was that way of you got yourself a chance to win the state championship with Cole Peterson, not having to throw a Hail Mary to the end zone to try and win the game. To have that kicker and to be in a you trust him, how good he has been throughout the season, and where you're at too is basically like an extra point. It kind of probably took a little bit of that pressure off the offense. Obviously, they wanted to score, but it took that pressure off the offense saying, well, we have to get in the end zone, but because you had another guy back there that could kick those extra points, or kick the field goal.
Yeah, and we knew that. We were excited just because we felt like we had an opportunity to win it either way. Whether it was a touchdown or we kicked a game-winning field goal. That was good. But at the same point, again, his squib kick there, it was so important. They had a dangerous kickoff return team. Ty Polston had a heck of a tackle on the previous kickoff to start the second half that, if he doesn't make that tackle, it's probably another touchdown right there. So definitely a unit you didn't want to have to give an opportunity to. And, you couldn't draw up a kick better than that one where, the short hop to high hop right over top of that guy and then down in the 20 or 22, whatever it was. There's really not a lot of options at that point for Yankton. And again, a lot of that just due to his foot. So really, really excited for him.
Now, one question that, obviously did not make a decision in the ball game, that never came back, but you guys went for the extra point instead of going for 2 to try and make it a 6-point game. I on the air had said I was surprised that you guys were kicking the extra point. What was the reasoning overall why you ended up kicking the extra point and not go for 2?
Quite honestly, it was an oversight. We should have went for 2. There was mayhem down there, and there was so many people running around, jumping, yelling, screaming. Myself counted amongst those that the PAT team went out because that's traditionally what you do after a touchdown. There was, and again, looking back, why we actually realized it right as we got done with that, and the kickoff team was assembling. We're like, we should have went for 2 right there. But it's just in that moment, and that was, I'd say there's very few times emotions truly get the best of us. But that was one of them. That was the wrong move, and we should have went for 2. Happy it didn't matter. But at the same point, there's no excuse other than the fact that we were too busy running around, jumping, excited.
Well, and because Mendel and I were kind of talking about it too, and said, well, at that point, if the team went out there too quick or whatever it might have been, you didn't want to burn a timeout to get the 2-point conversion out there because you had only one timeout left, and you end up using it to see. You did have 2 timeouts left, but you didn't want to burn one of those timeouts in case you needed both those on defense to make sure you got the stop. But it was one that again didn't matter, didn't come away at the end, it didn't make a difference, and it was still going to be a long shot for Yankton to score just by the length of the field themselves anyway, but it ended up working out okay, which is kind of fun to hear, the emotion of, as what the Pierre Governors were able to do, the emotion of, hey, we kind of overlooked one detail that, again, didn't make a difference, but could have been something in going back and watching film.
Yeah, surely it was. And it's a good thing for our kids to hear. We know we're not perfect either as coaches. We felt like the quarterfinal game, we handled that about as perfect as we could with the go for 2 to make it an extra possession, go for 2 to make it an extra possession, kicked, it doesn't matter. It's good for them to understand we're not perfect either. We don't pretend to be. But at the same point, it was also just fun because, again, the reason wasn't we didn't know we shouldn't have went for 2. It was that we were so caught up in the emotions of everything that was happening that it was just an oversight at that point.
Now we go ahead to Watertown on Friday, a team that beat you 28-14 the first time around, and there was, we've talked about it a couple of times. There's a handful of plays, and I think Watertown would say the same thing. There's a handful of plays that they would like to be better, and they could have won by more than 14. But you look at the Pierce side, handful of plays by 4 or 5 plays. It's no longer a 14-point game. It could be a vastly different score, and it could be a big pure win if those plays are different. So there's a lot what was a 2-score win for Watertown, it's a lot closer between these two teams going into Friday night.
Yeah, I think we felt, just like, again, I think anyone can always point at a game and be like, well, these two plays could have changed it. There was definitely a few in that game that could have, but, the fact of the matter is they didn't. We lost, and we feel right now we're a better football team. I think we're only going to have 5 guys on defense that started that game still starting in the Dome, and we're going to have, I think, 6 on offense that are still starting on offense in the Dome. So, we're a drastically different team, formationally, personnel, and schematically than we were at that point in time way back in week 3. So, I don't want to say that game's kind of a wash at this point, but both teams are so dramatically different that, you're really not looking back that far.
Well, and that's the question was, what's different about Watertown from that week 4 matchup, week 3 matchup? Because again, that's 9 weeks ago at this point, so a lot can be different from these teams. But what have you seen that's been the biggest standout of difference for the Watertown Arrows?
I think the kind of the unique thing of this is I think both of us have grown a lot in these last 6 weeks, and I would say the key to both of the growth has been injuries. Through our injuries, I think we've gotten guys into the right spots, and that's how we're set up. But I think Watertown's grown through a few injuries as well. Their quarterback missed a couple games and kind of was fighting an injury. He came back this last semifinal game and kind of split some time. But I think they found another weapon through him being out. Their backup does a couple different things that I guess he kind of was a co-starter, I guess, in their semifinal game against Brookings. So I think that's just kind of a little different element than they had the first time that we played them. And I think they've also kind of got a couple things that they found on defense and the linebackers that are kind of the same thing, where when one guy's had to sit out or miss a game, the guys that have come in have really excelled in ways that has given them some different packages and elements.
Well, this Watertown team, the first time you guys played them, you talked about how big their offense and defensive line is. They've got some big name guys and big players on that line. From that first time you played them, and obviously, again, you said it's hard to look back at that game and take a lot from it just because of how different both teams are. But how do you make sure you handle the line this time around than what was back in the early part of the season? Yeah,
well, one thing that didn't change is they're still huge. They're still big, they're still strong, they're still athletic. That part hasn't changed, and I think we did okay on them the last time, honestly. I don't think by any means we won or were dominant up front, but we definitely held our own. And again, I think we're better up front now. I think we're better than we were 9 weeks ago. They're still better, but I think that we've progressed further up on the line specifically. They're still big, they're still strong, but when you're bigger and stronger than everybody, your ceiling's a little closer to your head than when you're not bigger and you're not stronger and you're changing people. So, obviously we've got to go show that on Friday night, but, again, I truly feel our guys up front have come so far that they have the opportunity to go out and show that they can be a better line.
Well, these seniors, again, their final game, regardless of the outcome, final game is a pure governor, and for some might be the end of their football careers. Some might end up going play football in college or get that chance to go play football in college. But these seniors are kind of have, not that they weren't playing well at the beginning part of the season, but they've really stepped up in the playoffs. And it's funny in a sense that when your season and your career is on the line, you understand it, the amount of extra energy and the extra leadership that comes out from these guys is truly remarkable too.
It is, and again, I think that's kind of the feeling that I had at the end of the game was you're so proud of these kids who had every reason to just turn it in, every reason to just buy into what everyone was saying, that it was over, this was done. And they didn't do that. They found ways to come together, get even closer. They maneuvered themselves. They rolled with the punches just as the coaching staff did, and saying, well, we got to move you here. We got to move you here. We got to do this. There was no egos, and they just wanted to do whatever they could to get the job done. And there's really not too many better leadership lessons in life than you sometimes you've got to take a step back and do what you need to do instead of what you want to do. And these guys all did that for this team.
The Dakota Dome on Friday, it's going to be a little bit different. They've gone the renovations outside of the field work, and now they've got the new field is no longer that carpet type, more of that turf feel. obviously it doesn't change a whole lot, but it does for those guys that played last year's game, just to make sure they're familiarized with the turf and not the carpet that it used to be, because that was a challenge maybe a little bit for, but obviously with the Governors playing there year after year, you got used to it. But it is a little bit different to step on the field Friday night because the field is a little different.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, I other than seeing the pictures, you don't really know until you kind of get down there and step on it. But, another probably, I would guess, first time in a long time that two grass teams are playing in the Dome.
Yeah.
Because obviously last year Yankton's a turf team at home, T's a turf team at home, Brookings is a turf team at Dana J. This is probably the first time, at least that we've played, that it'll be two actual grass home field teams playing on the turf. And the other years where it's kind of turf, but it's not really turf, it actually probably was a wash because the turf is different than the other turf. Assuming this is actually the same as all the other turf fields, then there shouldn't be any advantage because both of us are not turf teams. So it'll be an interesting deal to see what the turf looks like, in person, and what it feels like, I guess, would be more of an important way to say it. But it looks from the pictures that you see and watching the games on TV, it looks great.
Obviously, you still want to win the game Friday night, but before you get to that point, this trip to the Dome for the 8th straight year, what is special about this one compared to the other 7?
This one, anytime you do something you're not supposed to do in sports, it's pretty cool. And, I think, in the beginning of the year, people may have picked us just because it's the last 7 years, you don't want to break that. But I would be very, very hard-pressed to find someone who truly believed that we could do this 6 weeks ago. I really don't think there would have been anyone on that bandwagon. Maybe one person, I guess, but we'll see. Other than that, I really think that that makes this one special because you're only there because your guys believed, and you guys never gave up. It's easy when everyone believes in you, to have that pride, to have that work ethic. It's not easy when it's just you and you're staring at yourself in the mirror and that's the only person that's there believing in you. So very, very proud of this group for finding the grit and the fortitude to get to that point. And I think because of that point, it'll make Friday a little bit more special.
Well, and then overall, final question, biggest key for the Governors to finish out their 8th straight state championship?
It's cliche, the line of scrimmage, they are still big, they are still strong. We can't allow them to be big and strong all the way down the field. We've got to find ways to get off the field on defense, without them running the ball. And then, offensively, we got to find a way to do enough. And I'd say we have to run the ball, but I don't know. It's going to be we have to do whatever we have to do offensively. We've got a lot of stuff in. If we can run the ball 40 times and win, we'll run the ball 40 times and win. If we've got to throw it 40 times to win, we've got to do that. If we've got to reach into our bag of tricks and trick our way to win, that's what we've got to do. So offensively's got to do whatever they have to do. Defensively has to stop the run.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. It's been good talking to you with Coach's Corner throughout the year, and looking forward to talking to you at the pregame show Friday of the state championship.
Sounds good, John. Thanks.
That's head coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors. Will return with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Tom Moore of the Sully Butte Chargers as they get set for the state championship on Thursday against Faulkton area. Coach, first, it's good to talk to you. Congratulations on making the state championship. There's got to be a lot it's an obvious question, but there's got to be a lot of excitement with around Oneida in Sully Butte right now getting ready for that state title game.
Yeah. Everybody's excited for it. In a small town, make a situation like this, basketball, track, football, everybody's pumped. Everybody's got some sort of involvement with the team, so it's been great for us in the community.
All right, let's go back and talk last week against Canastota to get that win in the semifinal game, 34-28. The biggest takeaway from that game and what the Chargers were able to do to finish out the win, hold on for the win, finish out the win, and get to the state championship, what was that biggest takeaway?
It just we had to play together as a team. Canastota is a darn good football team, had lots of good pieces. We're able to slow them down at times and kind of defensively bent, but didn't break. Had a big stand at the very end of the game to win it, and our offense kind of did what it did, was very two-dimensional by running the ball and throwing the ball. So offensively played well, and it was a good game.
Well, Faulkton area is your opponent. You are 9-1, 10-1 of the season. And that one loss is against this Faulkton area Trojan team. And, obviously, when you beat a team, sometimes people say, well, you might overlook them in the state championship if you beat them. But this time you're trying to avenge that one loss. And, not that you need extra motivation, but I think you guys might be in that better spot going in because of the things that you can adjust. And having that loss the first time around, it kind of gives you a little bit more to look at going into this game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Faulkton's a very, very good football team. Obviously, they're last year, they're there this year. Very well coached by Coach Gaditz. But yeah, just looking at things, we do things a little bit differently now, and we made some adjustments after that game that have made us better suited for our team. So that loss helped us get ready for the rest of the season. But yeah, it'll be a very good football game.
From the first time that you guys played them to the film that you've kind of dissected over the last couple of weeks, is there anything that stands out that's kind of changed about Faulkton area?
No, not much has changed. They definitely added some wrinkles. They've changed a few formations and things, but they're just very well put together. They have a very good front from their tight end to tight end. They got their guards and centers are very, very good football players, very physical. Makes it hard to do some things against them, so we got to be creative, just like we were last week. Same thing with Canastota; they're super big up front. Had to be creative to be able to move the ball and take some shots downfield, throwing it.
Again, talking with Coach Tom Moore of the Sully Butte Chargers. They take on Faulkton area 11 a.m. Thursday morning for the state championship. D.T. Meyer will have the call on Country 95.3. It's going to be a fun time down in Vermillion. And that's the other thing that you go to the Dakota Dome and playing on turf. It's a lot different to play on turf than the natural grass. Do you guys get a chance to maybe get a practice somewhere down the road on a turf field? Are you able to line that up on Wednesday or something, or a walkthrough to kind of get the feel of turf? How do you try and handle that going this week?
No, but we're gonna have to kind of take it as it is. We went a handful of years ago. We never really did it on turf. It didn't seem to affect us too much with it, and it's a new turf down there, so it's a little bit different than probably even some of the outdoor ones that are around. But we'll have our practice tomorrow morning or around lunchtime, our pregame stuff before we head on to Yankton this day.
Well, and that's the other thing too is going into the season and going into that first round of the playoffs, you go from Friday to Thursday, and then you have that 1 day less of preparation. Now, this week it's that kind of one less day, but also the travel day is on Wednesday because you play so early Thursday. What changes? What kind of is the again, besides the obvious of you're playing for the state championship instead of the first round? Well, what's kind of the big change of finishing up Friday night and playing Thursday morning and also having the travel on Wednesday? What kind of does that kind of throw off a lot of what you want to do game plan wise than other years?
Yeah, it does a little bit, just losing that one day, and then like we gained one last week, but then we lost one for the championship game. That is what it is. Falcons in the same boat that we are. Just being 9B or any 9-man, you got guys that play a lot of downs throughout the day, so it's just one less day to kind of have healing up and healing up some bumps and bruises. And but X and O's wise, we'll do the same type of practice we had the last pretty much 11 weeks. So nothing much will change there. It's just a day faster than it has been.
And then, you and I, we talk about a lot the start, how important a start is, and especially now when you play in a state championship, one, to treat it like any other game. Obviously, those kids know that it's not just quite any other game, but once you kind of get in the flow of and you can feel a little bit more like every other game. But you get those lights, you get the dome, you take all the elements out of it, the turf field on top of it. How important now is a good start with all those extra things on top of it?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of excitement, a lot of new things for our kids to see, but hopefully that excitement creates a little bit of adrenaline and we're able to kind of get off the ball fairly quickly. The first time we played Falkton, they definitely managed to clock the first probably quarter and a half. We didn't have a lot of offensive reps. They moved the ball down the field. We just couldn't get off the field. So getting to this point in the state championship, we're going to have to be ready to get off the ball right away and be physical from the start.
And then for you personally, a little bit of extra interviews this week to go on top of everything. Kind of adds on. Does it add on the stress level, or are you enjoying all the extra interviews and the attention?
No, I could hire somebody to do all these. There's definitely a lot extra ones, which is awesome. That's the fun part of being part of this. But yeah, it's just a lot of extra things that has to get done in preparation before we leave on Wednesday. So it's been busy, but not too much different than normal. Just a little bit more chatting with you guys and having some fun.
Then on top of kind of going back to Friday, this past Friday again, the semifinal, the excitement in the locker room and how that the 24 hours went from winning that game to kind of getting prepared for the state championship. Could you feel a shift with that locker room too, and kind of feeling all right, we're getting ready to go? How excited was that locker room, and how dialed in has everybody been in since that time?
Oh yeah, they were excited, which they should be. We can't talk about it. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, it's hard to get to a state championship. So getting there is one thing. Now getting ready to compete is the next thing. So being locked in focus, we had a pretty good practice yesterday, so hopefully we'll have a good one again today.
All right, we'll wrap it up here. Final question. Biggest key to win the state championship for the Soybeans Chargers to be 9B state champions. What's the biggest key to make that happen Thursday?
Yeah, just being balanced on offense. Kind of we've talked about last year. They took a little bit of that away for part of the game last time, so being balanced throughout the whole game will definitely help us move it. And then just being physical. Try to match their physicality because they have it. We have it at times, so we just got to show up and have it on Thursday.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time. It's been fun all season long. It's been great that we've talked to a couple weeks into November, getting ready for the state championship. Safe travels. Best of luck on Thursday. Looking forward to see what the Soybeans Chargers do in the state championship.
I appreciate it. It's been great talking to you all fall.
Absolutely. That is head coach Tom Moore. The Soybeans Chargers will return. More Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. KCCRradio.com.
Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
This fall, take some time to think about your future while the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill. It's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Kerry Wheelhouse of the Pierre Governor volleyball team as they get set for the Sodac 16 coming up tomorrow night, Thursday, with a 6 o'clock first serve against the Jefferson Cavaliers, the 2:15 matchup. And Coach, it's a rarity that you finish a season with a team and then you come back and play them the very next game. But I think for the Pierre Governors, it's a good thing to happen. With the Jefferson, a really good volleyball team, but you go from playing them, seeing that film, looking back on it, there's a lot of good things to take from that game, but just in general, I think for the Governors, it's good to play the same team again here coming up this week.
Yeah, it's really nice for us to be able to go right back and see them. I thought we played well against them and just need to clean up a few of the areas where they made adjustments and then we weren't able to adjust to it, so we just need to really work on those few things and come right back at them. It's nice to see, and then they went up to Aberdeen and played a hard 5-set match with Aberdeen, and I feel like we have a lot more offensive weapons than Aberdeen did, so I'm hoping that we can take that momentum and use it for ourselves.
Well, and you mentioned it too. They did play a game after you guys had finished the regular season, so a chance. And obviously, you had the idea that it was going to be Jefferson. It wasn't solidified until Saturday, but it was 99%. It was going to be Jefferson. So you had a good opportunity to kind of watch that game with the intent of knowing that was going to be your opponent on the next week.
Yeah, going back through the, film and looking at it and seeing where, we lost our points at and what we needed to adjust to was kind of nice, and to give us that full 9 days between playing them and then going back down there. We kind of kept preparing, whether it was going to be, Washington or Jefferson. We kind of knew it was going to be one of those two teams. So either of them, they're pretty similar in size and similar in what they do. So it was easy for us to then just kind of pivot and motivate our girls to get ready for those games.
Let's go back to Len last week. First, that game, we've already kind of talked about it, but just kind of expanding on it a little bit, the biggest takeaway from the loss to Jefferson last Tuesday.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway for us is that we just have to be confident in ourselves. We're swinging away really, really well. Ellie had one really great hit, and then we don't go back to Ellie. Or, if we make one mistake, then we kind of get nervous and start playing a little safer instead of going right at them. So we've really been working to try and get a little more aggressive with our hitting and building up that confidence in our girls that they're ready to go for this. That's the biggest key for us, is just really believing in ourselves, really believing that we can do this. We were talking about, even the football team this past week, watching them win their game kind of gives us another motivation, because a lot of people didn't think that this would be our year for football, and we'll use that to our advantage, even for our volleyball team. So talking about we can be the underdogs, we can go in, and it's a lot of fun to go in as an underdog with no pressure on us, and they have all the pressure to make sure they stay in their number 2 position.
And that's the other thing on top of it, is that you go into a game on a court that's not yours, and especially Jefferson, which has got like a bowl-shaped type a court that maybe is a little bit hard to kind of read the net and the distance. Huron Arena is kind of that same way, where it's a little challenging with the backdrop and everything that you're looking at. And Jefferson, can be a little bit difficult too, but the fact that you did play there on Tuesday, it's almost, it's not going to be a home game, but it kind of turns into a home game because you're as familiar with that net as you can anywhere else because you were just there last week.
Yeah, we're used to that setting, and one of the things the girls noticed is, Jefferson's crowd isn't really into their games and really loud, so that makes it easier for us. We can bring a loud crowd and really kind of work on that kind of stuff because we're used to playing with loud and some excitement, so hopefully we can use that to our advantage and really kind of disrupt them. It's nice to go back down there. Coach Beth Donnelly is a great coach down there, very welcoming, so it's nice to go back down there and see a friendly opponent on the other side of the court, but know that we're going to be in for a really good game.
Again, talking with Coach Carrie Wheelhouse of the Pierre Governors, they take on the Jefferson Cavaliers coming up on Thursday for the SODAC 16. 6 o'clock first serve. We'll have coverage at 5:30 here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. The past week practice, again, you had the idea of who was going to be that you're going to play, but a chance to kind of maybe take the end of last week without worrying about the opponent, and then this week kind of maybe game planning a little bit more, or take us through how you kind of handled the end of last week before the SODAC 16 was all set to go.
Yeah, so the end of last week, it was really about, talking with the girls, mentally preparing ourselves for the game, mentally getting ready for it, talking with them what they were looking for the end of the season, what they wanted to see out of this last week, things that they wanted to work on, kind of walk through, what were things that we can do differently in order for us to change the outcome of our game against Jefferson so that we're ready for this week. So having them kind of walk through it, they all wrote down what they could do better themselves to make the game a different outcome. So having them kind of do a lot of that background for themselves to look at everything to make them mentally prepared for it. And then we just kind of kept it light last week, really focusing on the things that they talked about, but making it so that we can build that confidence and show them that they can do some of the things that maybe they have questions about or that they're not 100% comfortable with. And so kept it kind of light and let them, just enjoy playing the game of volleyball, but at the same time working on some of those skills that we really needed to make adjustments on.
And that's always, the hindsight being 2020 and all that stuff, but you want to have that extra rest, and which is huge at this time of the year, especially because, like you said, Jefferson, they played Thursday. You guys didn't have a game since last Tuesday. That extra rest, and you kind of have to draw that fine line of getting that rest, taking it light, and still working as hard as possible to get ready, because everybody's kind of beat up, bruised up. So it's that challenge of trying to find the right balance, right?
Yeah, it is, letting them just kind of have some off time, but still being in that mental preparation for a game that's, super crucial, and maybe this week do a little bit extra, do a little longer practices. So really kind of driving that, mental focus in this week a little bit more than we were last week. But yeah, giving them some rest and having a nice 2-day weekend off. Was nice for the girls to have that, and then, even for us coaches to have a moment to sit back and reflect and get ready for this week and come back really focused on Monday, ready to go, and working on the little fine details that we need to in order to change the outcome of the game.
And again, the Pierre Governors take on the Jefferson Cavaliers, 6 o'clock first serve from Jefferson High School on Thursday. Talking with Coach Carrie Wheelhouse here of the Pierre Governors. Obviously, you want to get to that state tournament and a chance to do that, kind of led by the seniors. Kiera Gossman, Ava Swenson, Ellie Browers, Savannah Fullerton, Grace Hanton, J.C. Bauer, Campbell Cronin, and Addison Soma, those seniors that have been a part of this program for the last several years, and a chance to get them to the state tournament in their final year with the Pierre Governors. How I know it's very important for them, and how are they showing that on the court? Are they showing that leadership on the court here in practice, knowing that they don't want this to be the last game? They want to play 3 more games next week.
Yeah, this group of seniors is pretty special. They played together, their entire career for their high school career, and watching them develop. And really, it's just them believing in themselves and having that mental preparedness, again, to go into this and go, hey, every game is winnable. I've continued to tell them throughout the year, this team that we have, there's nobody else out there that's as talented as these girls are. They just have to believe that they're as talented as any of these other teams. We can put them up against anybody. Some of the stuff that we see in practice is even more advanced as what we see in the games, because I think they get in their heads a little bit. So we've really been working on that the last week is, believe in yourself. Go up with confidence. Take that time to, talk to yourself internally about, seeing this as a win. We even talked last night at practice about, look at some of these college volleyball games. Number 2 Penn State went into Wisconsin and thought, we're going to walk over number 7 Wisconsin, and Wisconsin just had their way with Penn State, or even, a Wisconsin-Nebraska game. Nebraska hadn't won in 13 years at Wisconsin, and they walked in and took a 3-set win. So it's doable. We just have to believe in ourselves and prepare ourselves and be focused for the game. I said we don't have that pressure as being the number 2 seed. It'd be really fun to come in and be the number 15 seed that knocks off the number 2 seed.
And as we start to wrap up here, kind of going with that too, is the start that you want to have. And obviously, a first set win goes a long way. Doesn't necessarily win you the match, or doesn't lose you the match by not getting that first set. But how important it confidence-wise and for the girls, and to maybe put that extra, again, add that pressure on top of what Jefferson already has, how important that first set is for this Sodak 16 game.
Yeah, we came out when we were down there last Tuesday. We came out really, really strong, and I think it gave the girls that confidence at the beginning. And then we made a few mistakes, and then we let those mistakes really kind of derail us and mess with our heads. So that's the thing that we got to work on. Is we've been a lot better in the end of the season. Is coming out and being strong, and I think we're playing some of our better volleyball. We've kind of got our rotation set. Everybody kind of knows their job, and really kind of getting excited about the stuff that we're doing. And so I think it's just continuing to push that this week with the girls to make sure that they're ready for this, ready for the mental part of it, and just they have nothing to lose. We have nothing to lose besides going down there and showing everything that we've got. And then, we go to state. We've been at state. That's great. But, the Jefferson's got a lot more riding on them, and I don't think they're playing probably their best volleyball coming in to the end of the season as what we are. So I'm hoping that we can use that this next week or this Thursday.
And then final question, biggest key for the Governors to get the win on Thursday and get to the state tournament?
Yeah, biggest key for us is just to play our game, not worry about them, and play that dig or die volleyball that we've been playing, and really just believe in ourselves and have that belief that we can do this and we can take out a number 2 team and go to state.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time as always. It's fun talking to you. Looking forward to talking the pregame show on Thursday as we get set for the Sodak 16. Safe travels and good luck on Thursday.
Thank you.
That is head coach Carrie Wheelhouse of the Pierre Governors. They will play Jefferson, 6 o'clock first serve on Thursday. Coverage will start at 5:30 here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We've got more Coaches Corner on the way here on KCCR and online at KCCRradio.com. KCCRradio.com.
People helping people.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the costs throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention, it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Let me talk to you.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
And as we welcome you back inside the KCCR studios as we wrap up Coach's Corner on another Wednesday night, I want to thank our coaches Steve Steele of the Pierre Governors, Tom Moore of the Silly Chargers, and Carrie Wheelhouse of the Pierre Governor volleyball team. Coming up tomorrow morning, 10:40 with coverage, 11 o'clock kickoff over on Country 95.3, and you can watch it on YouTube at Country 95.3 Sports, as it will be the Silly Chargers against the Faulkton Area Trojans in the 9B State Championship. Then, as we move into Thursday night, we've got Pierre Governor Volleyball for you. Coverage at 5:30 and first serve at 6 o'clock between Pierre and Jefferson in the Class AA Sodak 16. The 2:15 matchup from Sioux Falls. That one again, 6 o'clock first serve. Then Friday night, we'll have the 11 AA State Championship. 6:30 with coverage, 7 o'clock kickoff between the Pierre Governors and the Watertown Arrows here on KCCR. You can also watch it on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Looking forward to two state championship games, 3 playoff games in total over the next couple of days on your Riverfront Broadcasting stations. It's going to be a fun one over the next couple of days as we get into the football state championships. Volleyball state tournament will all be set. We'll talk with Linda DeBoer next week, Wednesday, in Coach's Corner of the Miller-Relsler volleyball team. And, of course, as we know who will win and who will advance, we'll expand our list of Coach's Corner guests for next week, Wednesday, as well. We're closing in on hockey just 2 weeks away from the start, actually a week and a half away from the start of the Hawaii Capitals season. We'll have that for you over on Capital City Rock and on YouTube at Capital City Rock Sports. But again, thanks to our coaches, Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, Tom Moore, the Soybees Chargers, and Kerry Wheelhouse of the Pierre Governors, as that will wrap it up for another edition of Coach's Corner. Same time, same place, next week, Wednesday, 5:30, right here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. And, of course, if you missed any of tonight's show, you can go on YouTube and check it out anytime for playback on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Have a good rest of your Wednesday.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Oahe Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.